Welcome sa ating new math lesson. Ako nga pala si Sir Waki. At ito ang ating topic ngayon.
Quadrilaterals. Quadrilaterals are four-sided polygons. What is the sum of interior angles of a quadrilateral? If you are going to add the four interior angles of a quadrilateral, the sum is 360 degrees. Now here's the formula to find the sum of interior angles of a polygon. S is equal to 180 degrees multiplied by the quantity n minus 2. Now here, since this is quadrilateral, the value of n is 4. So 4 minus 2, that is 2. So 180 degrees multiplied by 2 is 360 degrees. Therefore, the sum of interior angles of a quadrilateral is 360 degrees. Kinds of quadrilaterals. So we can classify quadrilaterals according to the number of pairs of parallel sides. Okay, the first type of quadrilateral is parallelogram. Now, what is a parallelogram? If a quadrilateral is a parallelogram, then it has two pairs of parallel sides. We say that QR is parallel to side PS, and PQ is parallel to side RS. So it has two pairs of parallel sides, therefore PQRS is a parallelogram. Another type of quadrilateral is trapezoid. What is a trapezoid? A trapezoid is a quadrilateral with exactly one pair of parallel sides. The parallel sides are the bases. A trapezoid has two pairs of base angles. So for illustration, ABCD is a trapezoid with AB parallel to DC. Side AB is parallel to DC. In trapezoid ABCD, angle D and angle C are one pair of base angles. The other pair is angle A and angle B. The non-parallel sides are the legs of the trapezoid. AD and BC are the legs of the trapezoid. The last type of quadrilateral is trapezium. A trapezium is a quadrilateral with no pair of parallel sides. Again, these are the three classifications of quadrilaterals according to the number of pairs of parallel sides. The first one is a parallelogram with two pairs of parallel sides. The next type is a trapezoid with one pair of parallel sides. And the last one is a trapezium with no pair of parallel sides. Next, let us study the different types of parallelogram. The first one is a rectangle. What is a rectangle? A rectangle is a parallelogram with all congruent angles. Therefore, it is an equiangular parallelogram. If this is equiangular, what is the measure of each angle? Yes, you are right. The measure is 90 degrees. So all interior angles are 90 degrees. Okay, the next type of parallelogram is a rhombus. So what is a rhombus? A rhombus is a parallelogram with all congruent sides. So this is an equilateral parallelogram. The next type of parallelogram is a general parallelogram. A general parallelogram is a parallelogram whose all sides and all angles are not congruent. So for illustration, we can see here that all sides are not congruent as well as all angles are not congruent. Next is we have the square. We can see that the square is under a rectangle and under a rhombus. So therefore, a square is a type of rectangle, and a square is also a type of rhombus. Let us describe a square now. A square is a parallelogram with all congruent angles and all congruent sides. So therefore, this one is a regular parallelogram. The measure of each angle is also 90 degrees, and all sides are congruent or equal in length. Now let us recall the different types of parallelogram. We have the rectangle, the rhombus, and general parallelogram. A rectangle is a parallelogram with all angles congruent, while a rhombus is a parallelogram with all sides congruent. And we can see that a square is a rectangle and a square is a rhombus. The third kind of parallelogram is a general parallelogram, whose all sides are not congruent and all angles are not congruent. In the diagram, we can see under trapezoid, we have isosceles trapezoid. Isosceles trapezoid is a special type of trapezoid. We can see in the figure that AC and BD are congruent, and they are the legs. So, isosceles trapezoid is a trapezoid with two legs congruent. Next, under trapezium, we have a kite. What is a kite? A kite is a trapezium with two pairs of consecutive sides congruent. We can see in the figure that MN and NO are two consecutive sides congruent, and MP, MPO are also consecutive congruent sides. Now let's have a quiz. Answer the following statements whether true or false. Number 1. A quadrilateral is a four-sided polygon. The answer is true. We already defined that quadrilateral is a four-sided polygon. Number 2. If a quadrilateral is not a parallelogram, then it is a trapezoid. The answer is false. If a quadrilateral is not a parallelogram, it doesn't mean that it is a trapezoid, because there are three classifications of quadrilateral: parallelogram, trapezoid, and trapezium. Number 3. The sum of interior angles of a trapezoid is 360 degrees. The answer is true. Since a trapezoid is a quadrilateral, then the sum of its interior angles is also 360 degrees. Number 4. Some parallelograms are neither a rectangle nor a rhombus. The answer is true. Yes, there are some parallelograms which are not rectangle nor a rhombus, and they are general parallelogram. Number 5. All rectangles are squares. The answer is false. Not all rectangles are squares, but all squares are rectangles. Number 6. A square is a rhombus. The answer is true. Since a square is a parallelogram with all sides congruent, then it is a rhombus. Number 7. Isosceles trapezoid is a parallelogram. The answer is false. Isosceles trapezoid is a kind of trapezoid with one pair of parallel sides, while a parallelogram has two pairs of parallel sides. Number 8. A square is a regular quadrilateral. The answer is true. Since a square has all sides congruent and all angles congruent, then it is a regular quadrilateral. Number 9. Some rhombuses are squares. The answer is true. Yes, there are some rhombuses whose all angles are also congruent, and they are squares. Number 10. A kite is a four-sided polygon. The answer is true. A kite is a kind of quadrilateral, and a quadrilateral is a four-sided polygon. So therefore, a kite is a four-sided polygon.
Click the subscribe button and the notification bell for more updates of our videos. Math is so easy.